So I'm here with Mopreme Shakur. Uh, you know, this is 1 year plus 1 day to the anniversary of the death of Mutulu Shakur. What was it like, having him as, a father in your life?
Wow. It was great. The time that I did have, a lot of it was why, through his incarceration. But he was an incredible man. And a lot of his work is still respected and hailed to this day. So I appreciate him. His life was for us to learn by, and I just appreciate the lessons that he left.
Most definitely, I think about like, the revolutionary action movement, which he was a part of as a teen. And, that inspired the politics of, people like Bobby Seale and Huey Newton. What is it like, like growing up in like a household is dedicated to like, Black liberation?
I mean, when you were shorty, you don't understand all of the politics, right? But you see it. I saw the effects of it in the culture as I would grow up. Tulu was, he was at it early, 16, 17. He was, with Ram and all the organizations that follow. And a lot of people, they unfortunately, because so many of those movements are not known, everybody always talk about the Black Panthers. But Mutulu wasn't actually a Black Panther. He was a member of the Republic of New Africa and the Black Liberation Army and RAM and a whole bunch, other organizations, but not specifically a Panther. I was a fan.
Right. Like, why do you feel like, that history doesn't like, talk about like, the Republic of New Africa or like, the other groups like revolutionary action movement?
Well, it could be because the level of commitment is not like it was back then. You know what I mean? I mean, there's not to take anything away from the young people that's, young activists who's doing work today, but the extent of it, is not like it was back then. And I'll be reminding people that, I'm Pop's generation, that generation right there, they, you know, they lived through assassinations that everybody knew about. They lived through Martin, Malcolm, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton, RFK, JFK, just straight up assassinations. Our generation hasn't really felt that, you know what I mean? So I think that's why their level of commitment was way stronger.
I was watching a past interview and you were talking about that you actually grew up in Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Oh,
What
yes,
what
sir.
what was it like in Queens, and you talk detail the era that you grew up in?
I mean, South Jamaica, Queens, New York, they call it, they say, it's a blue collar town, hardworking people. You know, you got all the gangsters over there. You got the black gangsters, the Italian gangsters, and the Latin gangsters, and they all commingle. And, it's the biggest borough, which a lot of people don't know. But also, that's where I was at the birth of hip hop, what I'm saying, between there, Bronx, Harlem, New York, but you know, South Jamaica is close to my heart. I mean, South Jamaica is a lot like I say it's a lot like Inglewood. You know what I mean? It's right next to the airport. It's the hood and it's right next to the airport and it's well respected.
Most definitely, man. I have a lot of love for Queens, and your name is actually Mopreme is inspired by Ken of Supreme.
Well, yeah, Supreme was a comrade of my father's. I didn't know him personally, but he's a close comrade to my pops.
Most definitely. What was your name? Didn't you have a different name? Like you I know you were in the Tony Tone video. Wasn't it a different name before you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, well, we artists. I'm an artist at heart. You know what I mean? So then I was going by Mercedes DeMello, quite a nice fellow. But where you at? Are you in California?
No, I'm in Chicago right now.
Oh, shy. Oh
Mhm.
shit. Yes, sir. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, that was my first big record, my first hit record, the first in the fam to get down with this, in this fraction of the family. And I still, feels good. It's still close to my heart because that put me on. It put us on.
Yeah. And like I know like after you moved to Oakland after
Yeah.
being in the army and like that's where you reunited with Pac. Like like what was like reuniting like after being away from him for like 8 years.
I mean, that was a period of a lot of change for me. You know what I mean? I had been separated from my sister Fanny Pac for like 9 years at this point. My pops was, on FBI's 10 Most Wanted for like 5. He had just gotten captured. And I just got out the army. You know what I mean? There was a lot going on, but it was the bright point, because I had been craving being back with my family. You know what I mean? Our the growth of our family ain't like everybody else's. You know what I mean? When Mutulu went underground, a lot of parts of the family, you know what I'm saying?
How old were you when Mutulu was on the wanted list? Because he was on the run for like 5 years before he was captured.
Yeah, I was like 14.
Wow.
I was like 14. Yeah.
How was that pretty devastating? Like, I mean, that's an extreme circumstance. Do you feel like you have to grow up faster because of that situation, or like how did it affect you?
Yeah, I had to figure a lot of shit out on my own because Mutulu wasn't around. You know what I mean? My male figure wasn't around, especially at that age of 14. And I had to do memory recall to remember a lot of things that he told me, to figure the rest out by myself. The rest of the family was disjointed at the time because he was on the run. There was little communication. So, just me and my mom's trying to figure it out.
Most definitely. So like you land in Oakland and like how does that progress like as far as like your music career and then like eventually like Pac where he becomes like a superstar.
Well, I had been following my dream to uh, to do music. When I got out the military, I know I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing in the military, and so I pursued my dream. And then we had an embarrassment of riches. You know what I mean? I had my hit record. Few months later, Pac dropped with digital, but then Pac also got the opportunity to make films.
Right.
He got the opportunity to get into movie making, the film industry, which was, so rare for, little black kids from the hood. So, you know, Pac asked me, yo, I need you. You want to get down with me or you going to do your own thing? You know what I mean? And I chose to support my brother. And then he had to make it. If I'm gonna give up my lane, you got to make it, kid. And we pushed.
Yeah, I was seeing an interview where you were talking about you be his personal assistant on all the movie sets. What
Yeah,
was it like, being on the movie sets, like, like Poetic Justice and, other iconic films that Tupac was in, like Above the Rim?
I try to, the saying, act like you know, act like you know. I was acting like we were supposed to be there. You know what I mean? I was like, that's the best thing I could do is act like I am supposed to be here and we are here and we are supposed to be here. So relax, relax. I just try not to make, as few mistakes as possible. I didn't want to embarrass Pac in front of the directors and the producers and you know what I'm saying? So, and them days it was just us. you know. We was doing music, but the film side, you had to keep your little entourage or your little clique small and tight, because for privacy on the set. So yeah, through I was on Juice Said, I was on Poetic Justice Said, Gridlock, and yeah, a lot of that was just us, me and him.
Most definitely, like what's some of your fondest memories from that time?
Uh there's a lot. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. On the Juice Said is where I first met Tretch.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's my man still to this day. Uh, on the Poetic Justice set, watching when Pac kissed Janet, I was standing right there. I was like, this nigga's getting ready to kiss Janet Jackson. You know what I'm saying? I was like, my little brother, I try to kept it cool till we got back in the trailer, but I was like, yo, kid, you just kissed Janet Jackson. So that was you know, it's folklore now, Everybody don't get to do that.
Right. What do you think about like, as far as like because of, his huge status and like celebrity culture, it seems like everybody has like a different story about him or revisionist history. And like, sometimes people have written books and like it's hard sometimes to separate like fact from fiction.
Yeah. Uh, well, once we reconnected, we started working together, and I could witness with my own eyes how talented he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We both sit down to write a rhyme, and then 5 minutes later, all right, I'm finished. Let's go. Like, oh, yo, he worked at breakneck speed. Um, but also his personality and his history, which is similar to mine, we were unique. We felt like we were unique in that way. You know, the messages Pac was trying to relate, especially in the early days, about the community. I mean, we come from our parents were community organizers.
Right.
So, the Brenda's got a baby, the keep your head up, certain songs was specifically targeted to enrich the community.
How can we bring that back to hip hop today? It seems like, it's an emphasis on the sexual degradation of like young women in the music. I see like, with drill culture, like, there's sometimes like a glorification of street violence where it doesn't have like the social messages of music, like, artists. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, what I'm saying? There's a market for everything.
Right.
There's a market for everything. There's a lane for that. But as far as the craft of making music, you pick the lanes that are important to you. You know, Pac's spirit was a big part of that. The sincerity was a big part of that. We meant that shit. You know what I mean? We really was about that life. Everybody ain't about that. You know what I mean? Um, and artists that are socially conscious a lot of times are not, you know, blown up, but Pac knew how to do it because you still got to keep it real. You know what I mean? You got to keep it real, and that I think that was Pac's difference. The way he delivered his messages was had a little more sincere cut on it.
Most definitely, man. I think like, that's what resonates with me is the authenticity, the realness. What do you feel like, now that Keefy D, he's been charged with the murder of Tupac, what does justice look like for the Shakur family?
it, it, we really don't know because we've seen so little of it. You know, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. This has been 27, 28 years just to get that. You know what I mean? That for that to go down. So, we praying for the best, be prepared for the worst. Um, it is interesting why it took this long. We got a lot of questions. Uh, I, like I be saying, grab your popcorn. It's gonna be an interesting ride. Let's watch and see. You know what I mean? Because really, it's the fans and the people that really I feel talk this up. From I was involved with a few productions, the Unsolved production, Who Killed Tupac, just different ones trying to get to some answers about Pac's assassination. You dig? And so, with the interest still there after all these years, I think the fans even brought this about because the questions are still being asked. This is there's so many things about that it's really annoying. This is Las Vegas, Nevada. People come from all around the world to come there. You got expensive ass hotels with high tech security, all that blah blah. Where's the camera footage? Where's the footage? Even in '96, they were advanced. So a lot of things don't make sense, but we're gonna see what comes out. You know.
One of the most interesting books I've read about Tupac Shakur is the FBI War on Tupac Shakur, the state repression of black leaders from the civil rights era to the 1990s. Are you familiar with that book?
Oh yeah, I know, dude. I gave him some music for one of his projects. Yeah.
Like like seeing like all of this information like come to light, and like Diddy possibly being an FBI informant, and just like having like a role in the murder for hire allegedly. Does that make you feel like this is like deeper like conspiracy or like cover up?
I, yes. I mean, we are Shakurs.
Right.
So we have, you know, especially from New York law enforcement, we've always kind of been on their radar in some way. See that one FBI, Puffy, possible FBI informant. I didn't know that, but somebody did. All this shit is coming out. We gonna see. We gonna see. You know.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, as a fan of hip hop, you're on a song with Tupac, Papa's song, which is on the Strictly for My Niggas album. Like, do you remember recording that song?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, man. I was elated about that because especially that song, a little hip hop trivia. That song was on Pac's demo. There was only a couple songs on Pac's demo. That was one of them, and I was on it. And you know, that song is partially how Pac got his deal. You know, the label owner's daughter is like, "Hey, Dad, you got to sign this guy. Are you listening to what he's saying?" You know what I mean? So I'm always proud of that record, even though sales wise it didn't go do crazy, but it was on the Strictly album. We did that.
Yeah. What would you say like, is your most memorable moment of being in the studio with Tupac?
Ah man, I I often try to recall and keep in my mind Pac and Shock in the studio together. Pac and Shock, rest in peace, Shock G, uh, in the studio together. Because I'll always be thinking these are two bad, talented motherfuckers, and they right here. We right here with them, we're making history.
um, what was it like being in the Outlaws? Like, like working with like, people like Macadocious, Big Sight, no longer here, but
Rest in peace, Big Sight. Yeah, well, that's why I got a book coming out, This Thug's Life, hopefully this fall. It'll be this fall, but there was like the Thug Life fraction, the OGs, me, Pac, Psych, Mac, Rated, you know, we held that Thug Life banner. And when Pac decided to form the Outlaws, it was really the Outlaw Immortals first, which included me, Syke, and Pac. And we were going to push that was designed to push our young homies out there with their own brand. They were just going to be the Outlaws. All of us together was Outlaw Immortals. And, it was designed to be a springboard for them. And, they've gone on to do they thing.
Most definitely. You also like were a consulting producer for American Gangster. It's a BET series that they did, and they did an episode like about your father, and him. How was that experience? Were you happy with like how the episode came out? It was really great. I've seen it.
Oh, thanks, man. Um, you know, the our father was a revolutionary. He's a lot of things. He's a primary revolutionary, but in conversations about gangster shit, Tulu name come up. So I'm in LA, I'm in Hollywood. Discussions about the production is going on. They want to talk about my father. Well, we brought them the idea. Well, if you do want to talk about Mutulu under this American Gangster banner, we must talk about other American gangsters like J. Edgar Hoover. If it wasn't for us, me, Talia, my wife, we they wouldn't have done the J. Edgar Hoover episode. But that was kind of because this is a collaborative medium. You ain't going to get everything you want all the time. You have to negotiate here and there. So that's what we did,
Like,
and we
do
kept
you feel
real
there's an emphasis I feel like on the media to kind of portray like the Brinks robbery, and like they don't mention like that he was doing good things for the community, like building charity in Africa, things of that nature. Like, can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, they want to pigeonhole Mutulu into being into reimagining what his actual mission was. His mission was about the people.
Right.
This is why he's also a doctor of acupuncture.
Right.
He's a director of the detox clinic at Lincoln Detox. Then he would later open his own clinic called Banner. And as well as the brewing revolution in America amongst our people, of course he's going to help. My grandmother had glaucoma. She went blind at 25. My father had been dealing with the system ever since a kid, trying to get help for my grandmother. So, a lot of his moves was coming from a genuine place. His moves was coming from a genuine place. And in that authenticity, there's all these assassinations of our people, so they went into mode to try to protect our people, whatever way that meant, by any means necessary.
Most definitely. This is the biggest election year in modern history. As someone like, who comes from a Black liberation background, do you have any thoughts like, about how like Black people can mobilize and, um, help elect a president that is best for our agenda? Or do you feel it even matters like who is president?
I it matters because it affects all of us. I try to think on a macro level. On a macro level, that dude is not, I'm talking about. He is not good for this country. He's not good for poor, Black, brown, disenfranchised people. And he emboldens the racists. You know, the white supremacists, the white nationalists, he emboldens them, even though he doesn't always say specifically about, you know, he's careful with it. But I know that dude. He's from fucking Queens. Donald Trump is from Jamaica Estates. He's from Queens. I know that guy. And he grew up around a lot of, you know, a lot of gangsters in Queens, a lot of Italians, you know. So he wants to be the tough guy. He's always doing this. Like, I'm like, dude, knock it off. You know, he's a con man, and it's scary to see how many people he can win over. You know, I'm concerned with all these black folks who's supporting him now. You know, we can't be selfish. You got to think about the big picture, you know, because a lot of them say, you know, uh, shit, when Trump was in office, I was paid. When Trump was in office, I was getting money. But are you really? I mean, what is the state of your community? What is the state of your people? I mean, yeah, if that's all you think about, then it might work for you. But that ain't all I think about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I think like Trump is a horrible racist. I think like, it makes me wonder like sometimes about racial discrimination, like, in contemporary America. Do you feel like, do you see signs that it's getting better, improvement? And where does it need to be? You know,
There'll be like one step or half a step forward and like three steps back. You know what I mean? I can't believe the dude even got that served as president. It's baffling to me, but people need to pay attention because they're acting like they want to taste a little dictatorship. They want to taste it. America, they act like they want to really taste that dictatorship shit. Be careful what you ask for. You know, as many fucked up things as happened in this country, that one hasn't quite happened yet. But we shouldn't let it because that is not that is not the move. I'm telling y'all, they're gonna regret it.
you know, how do you like, deal with your mental health? Like I know, like, obviously, like, the grief of like losing, like, your brother, and like, him being in the news, like, sometimes and stuff or anything, like where not necessarily the information is accurate, but like more information is coming to light.
I uh I over the years have learned that I had to develop a thick skin. You know, it was already thicken up from, going through my father's being on run, his incarceration. That, that's another level, but and out here on these streets is another level. It's just, with, we're high profile. The whole
Right.
family is like high profile. So we had to develop a thick skin, um, and don't be reactive, and not to be reactive. Um, that's the challenging part, because you hear some bullshit online, or you see some some bullshit interview, or
What's one of the most like egregious things you've seen, or like, on an interview or like an article that maybe sticks out?
um just nothing in particular, because I try not to saturate myself with the bullshit.
Right.
But I know it exists. I know it's there. I saw one just the other day. And that's another thing, the clickbait. You know what I
Right.
mean? AI AI interviews. One of them said that Mopreme blast Jada. I'm like, what? What the fuck are they talking about? I didn't even I hadn't even mentioned Jada in the interview, but they pieced all these things together to try to make it look like I said something negative about Jada. I'm like, you better get the fuck out of here. That's my girl. That's our people. And it's shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's I think AI is pretty dangerous. And you've seen like, what are your thoughts like, about AI? Do you or do you have concerns about, as a recording artist, like, and the future of it in music?
I concur. I concur. You know, it's starting to have its effect in the music space. You know, the shit with Drake and Kendrick. I said my piece about it, and I say the same shit. If it's a rap battle, I don't think nobody should use AI in a fucking rap battle. Because then is it a rap battle or is it technology battle? You know what I'm saying? I'm from the roots of hip hop, so that shit didn't, you know. Someone else is having an issue with AI. The Scarlett Johansson got a case. I mean, because you can't just mimic anybody. You can't just mimic people and not expect not to have to answer. And everybody ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? AI in my voice and AI in Pac's voice are two different things. You know, there's, you know, and when you get into the legalities, you know, there's likeness issues, copyright issues, all kind of imaging issues. You know what I mean? And so you're just gonna violate. If you're just gonna violate everybody, okay, you're gonna have to answer for it. That's all until it, you know, gets to a manageable state.
Definitely. I wanted to ask you about the All Eyes on Me film. Were you happy with that film? And I've heard like rumors that it was Afeni Shakur's last wish for that film not to be released. Is that accurate?
Um, it went back and forth. You know what I mean? I think the intentions started out right, but the production started getting a little wobbly, and you know, I don't remember exactly what Faye said, but I mean, I think it was unanimous that we was going to try to fall back. You know, at one point, a friend, you know, John Singleton was going to be involved, and in which we have a relationship, so we thought it was going to be cool, and then, you know, it just didn't turn out that way.
You weren't happy with the way the film came out?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it. Definitely. What's next for you?
Hustle, baby, hustle. You know what I'm saying? I try to stay positive and progressive. I got a lot of shit on my plate, trying to get this. I may be doing a podcast soon. God, you know, this Thug's Life podcast or something of that nature. I got my book coming out.
Is it
I'm
a biography or is it like a fiction book? What kind of book
It's
is it?
a memoir. It's a memoir from, you know, day one till I lost Pop, basically. And so that's going down. I'm trying to do, hopefully I can put together some music to come out in conjunction with the book. So, you know, I'm working, I'm grinding.
Most definitely, man. Could you share like, just a story like, about Tupac, like, that you haven't shared on another platform before, anything?
Man, Pac was just, Pac was the shit. He could be, Pac was a Gemini, so he was extremely fun and he could be extremely fierce. You know what I mean? Um, I remember when we first started, you know, seeing a little success, and you know, uh, he was always a kind of an independent spirit. You know, he was going to do what he wanted to do. So we got a position for him to, you know, he bought his first Benz, right? He bought his first Benz, but he's still like what, 20 and 2021. I want you to drive my car, don't drive my car. But he couldn't drive. And he he went, he had a date to see this girl, to go meet this girl, and he was excited about it because she had dated Mike Tyson too. So he said, shit, and but the nigga couldn't drive, but he didn't want me to go with him. So then he tries to drive on his own. He wrecked the fucking car. He just wrecked the whole car. It took us like 16 grand to get it fixed.
Wow.
And 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 he couldn't say nothing. He was pissed as fuck, but he couldn't blame me, and I was laughing at him, and yeah, he got better.
Wow, thank you,
And
Mopreme.
that was on a one-on-one.
Man, it's amazing. Thank you so much that we could make this happen. I really appreciate you for taking the time.
Mr. Glover, shout out to you, all your listeners and watchers. Shout out to the Shy, love the Shy. You know how we do. Holla back. You know what I mean? I'm on some positive, progressive shit. My sister's doing good work with the foundation, the Tupac Shakur Foundation. Shout out to Milwaukee. We was just out there for Set Shakur Day. She got her own day. Um, we trying to um be respectable leaders in this community. You know what I mean? We're trying to make Pac proud. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So
Where can people reach out, like, to support the Tupac Amaru Shakur Foundation?
TASF.com .org, TASF.org. Um, Y'all, and just hit me up on my Instagram, on my IG. I don't be on it much, and y'all don't be mad at me, but I don't be on this shit much. I'm trying not to get my mind too polluted. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, we out here. We outside. We
Definitely, man.
outside.
Mopreme, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Glover. I appreciate your professionalism. Anytime, holla back. You know what I mean? And I'll scream at you if I'm in the shot.
For sure.